Love for more against Constant Gardener. Welcome my YouTube buddies to the OCG Fam Show. Thanks for watching. Before we start, TV Time Mom sent me this lovely card for my birthday. I want to read it to you. It says, "It's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years." What's a nice sentiment, and from a great guy, Abraham Lincoln, one of my favorite presidents. So thank you, TV Time Mom, for that. I sure appreciate it. The show today, let's just get on with it. Let's just get this going. Nectar for the Gods, Cultured Biologix. How do you use these together? Tim was here, Tim McCormick from Cultured Biologix, president, founder of the company, and we talked about that, and that's what's going on in this video that I'm going to show you right here. So watch the video. I'll talk to you after. Hey there, we're here with Tim from Cultured Biologix talking about the teas. Now I have some questions for you. Now this video is not just about the Cultured Biologix, but how you can use it with the Nectar for the Gods. But you got a veg tea and a bloom tea. Some people would say, well, what are you doing? I don't need two teas. It's crazy. Why did you split it off into the two different things for the veg cycle and the bloom cycle?
Well, first and foremost, we wanted to get away from the kitchen sink approach.
Yes.
Let's just take everything the plant needs from start to finish, put it in one product, and just throw on the plant all the time. So we just wanted to get away from the all-in-one, all-purpose approach, because the plant does stuff. We recognize that the plant does stuff in different stages,
right? And
it needs different things in different stages.
Well, fair enough. So is this just about saving money, or is it actually some of these things counterproductive to each other?
It's actually it's both.
Okay.
We want to make sure you're not spending money on additional things that the plant's not using. Like, you don't need to use mycorrhizae in bloom.
Sure.
Mycorrhizae takes 7 to 21 days to establish on the root system, so you put that in veg, and as the roots grow, the mycorrhizae grows with it. There's no need to put it. So I'm not going to give you a bloom tea with mycorrhizae in it like an all-purpose would.
I understand.
And the other goes into functionality. In veg, we all know the plant needs more nitrogen, more nitrogen uptake. So in the veg tea, we put nitrogen-fixing bacteria, along with our composting bacteria. So it helps facilitate nitrogen into the plant.
Vigorous growth.
Exactly.
That I may not want over here. I want this.
You want the nice green effect, right? That's why we want nice canopy. We want nice lateral branching. We want strong stems. We want nice dark green leaves. So that's why we want to push nitrogen.
Okay.
Now what we realize inside the blooming stage is that the plant needs more phosphorus, and we don't want that green to last the whole time. We want that green to kind of fade around week 4, 5, and 6. But we want to promote phosphorus. Veg, we promote nitrogen. Bloom, we promote phosphorus. So we wanted to make a bloom tea that was designed specifically to accelerate the blooming process and allow phosphorus to be more available. So we put phosphorus solubilizing bacteria inside the bloom tea.
So if I were using the nitrogen, is it at odds with the blooming process, or just wasted?
There's a lot of different forms, and there's a handful of different forms of nitrogen. So it's understanding what types of form nitrogen. You don't want the nitrogen from like nitrogen fixing bacteria in late flower.
Right, sure, okay.
Plant needs proteins though, so it's important to differentiate between your nitrogen sources. Some nitrogen sources are from proteins, which a plant needs in flower, like the plant needs athenas, aminas.
Right, okay.
All the way through flower, it's the building blocks of the flower.
Yeah, okay,
you know?
I got you.
So you still need protein and still need a little bit of nitrogen.
Okay.
We just don't want the 4% nitrogen charge inside the veg tea to be used in the bloom. We want that to be more in veg. So we kind of made them both two different teas because the plant needs two different things in both their stages.
So not just about saving money, it's a functionality of making a better plant, growing more vigorously here, and then having a more flowery type situation going on here. I'm not explaining it very well, but
no, totally. And so like in the veg tea, we add magnesium, iron, molybdenum, manganese, zinc. Those elements are needed for vegetative growth. Right. And so what we did is we actually changed the micronutrient blend inside the bloom tea also. So we put zinc and boron that can facilitate the blooming processes of the plant. Sure. Fun fact, the plant can only bloom as much as it has zinc. Zinc is a limiting factor in blooming. So that's why we put, you see there's a zinc portion in the bloom tea, is because we put zinc in there. Zinc is a precursor to auxins, which is a hormone that produces the buds. You don't produce any buds if you don't have the hormones, and the hormones don't get produced if you don't have the zinc. So it all comes back from zinc. And then on top of that, we added boron to the bloom tea as well. Boron is meant to translocate all the goodness from the leaves into the flowers. It gives you that nice fade at the end. It converts everything from nutrition into carbohydrates, and then the carbohydrates go into the flower, helps with the flavors, the aromas. Boron is a transport molecule in blooming. So that's why we put zinc and boron inside the bloom tea also.
Wow.
So we wanted to custom tailor the teas to the stage of plant growth.
Okay. So I noticed you got some nectar for the gods, specific things in here. So a lot of people think, oh, my tea days when I do my tea, my feed days when I do my nectar for the gods.
Right.
So you would still be doing your normal feeding with your like Greek regimen or whatever you're doing on your feeding days, but on your tea day you would also, in addition to your cultured, use these particular things. What are they? What would you use? Let's just start with the veg.
Sure. And so for veg, we want the Pegasus potion, and we want the Kraken.
Okay.
The Kraken fortifies stalks. It gives you nice, strong stems. It can the chitin and the chitosan in it can also help prevent mildew, which are really important. It has the plant produce a systematically acquired resistance. It's called a SAR, SARS. And so we want to promote this acquired resistance to be specific to mildew. And chitin, especially from crab and shrimp meal, is really, really good at promoting the plant to protect itself naturally from mildew.
Okay.
So I like to make sure the Kraken gets on there early. I use the Kraken all the way through veg, and I also use the Pegasus potion, which is the feather meal. It's a nitrogen source. It's digested feathers that turn into pure protein nitrogens, essentially.
But you would not be using these on your feed days, just on your tea?
Just on my teas. And the reason why I like that is because in our veg tea, we have a specific type of bacteria that decomposes feathers.
Really?
So if we use a feather meal, it's already broken down. It acts as food for some of the microbes in the tea. And the other part is that the Kraken not only has crab and shrimp, but Scott also puts egg whites in it. And the egg whites are really, really good at acting as microbial food because everything loves to eat egg whites.
I do.
Right?
I like the yolk too, but
the little workers, the little bugs, they love them too.
It's like breakfast.
And so I see it as not only plant stimulants, like growth products, but I also see them as microbial food sources. And that's why we're also using it with the teas, because they also act as really good microbial food sources, and they kind of bump the tea a little bit to kind of spike it.
Sure.
Give you like a booster for your tea days.
That makes perfect sense.
I want the most out of my tea days, so that's why I like combining the nectar and the culture together, because I get this burst of growth whenever I do both on my tea days. And what I've noticed is that if you chunk it up and you split up the products you use per day, the plants uptake better.
Oh, really?
Plants utilize it better.
Why do you suppose that is?
It's instead of trying to throw 1,000 things into one thing and hoping you can take in all 1,000 things, we give it a handful of things this day,
and it's like, oh,
and then the next day you give it the tea. So you give it so for example, you give it the Greek regimen the first feed.
Sure.
And the next feed you give it Greek regimen. And that's inclusive of the core four plus Demeters and Athenas.
Right.
And then on my tea days, I spike up my veg tea with the Pegasus potion and the Kraken. So I'm not just throwing everything into one reservoir and feeding to the plant, hoping it's taken up. I'm kind of breaking it up into different days.
So that it's the plant's like, oh, something new. Instead of like, oh, here's a bunch of stuff, I got to sort through this. And I need that on my day.
We find that growth rates increase. We find that plants uptake nutrition better, so you get less buildup in your soil.
Okay.
Because think about it, soil ppms are going to build up everything in there at once. The plant can't take it. Using the Roman regimen isn't bad by any means. It's actually really, really good if you know how to dial it in. This just kind of helps break it up a little bit so the plant can kind of just make sure it utilizes. It's about utilization.
Maybe a more efficient way of doing it instead of throwing it all in there. So it can be more effective, but it is certainly more efficient.
More efficient, exactly.
Okay. So now we're moving on into flower. You got your Triton straw and your Megamorpheus. What's your thinking here?
So my thinking is that I want the Megamorphosis on the early bloom to get that bud set, the nice quick flower set on.
Okay.
And then I want the Triton's trawl from mid-flower into late flower to really ripen things, to get things ready for the end process, to bring the colors out, bring the terpenes out. And so what I personally do, and like what I wrote inside the Nectar tea chart, is that you use Megamorphosis from early flower to mid-flower, and then from mid-flower to late flower, you use Tritons.
Okay.
And I find that it brings out better colors. It acts as a really good food source for the bacteria, and so they can all come alive inside the reservoir, and they can all start munching down, mowing down all the available food, all the small little bits and pieces that Scott broke these products down into. Okay, it's a lot like you can give someone a steak and they can just start mowing down on it, or you can chop it up into tiny little pieces and eat it piece by piece. And that's essentially what Scott did with the Nectar products, breaking down feathers and crab meal and
available.
Exactly, they break it down in small pieces.
Right.
Not only does the plant get to take that up easier, the microbes get to eat that faster. because they're smaller pieces of food form. So that's why I really, really like using the Nectar products with my teas, because they're not only a plant food source, they're a microbial food source.
So, and they're more available, but also more short-lived in a way that you can change up from this to this, and you're not still getting the long life of this going in there.
Yep.
So now I want to ask you about the Megamorpheus, because a lot of people feel like this was a product that, it's just, a lot of people old school wanted guano.
Sure.
Because that was the deal.
It was the deal.
And so that's like, well, yeah, old school, they like that guano, but it's not really useful for my regimen. What are you getting out of this that works with this newer type?
I find a quicker flower set. I find that the plant just jump into flower quicker. You also see that the reason why I also like pairing these Nectar products with the teas is because none of my teas have a phosphorus charge. It's a 401 and a 102.
Okay.
I want you to get the phosphorus from all the Nectar products. So that's another reason why I really like the Megamorphosis, because it has a 2% phosphorus charge. That's perfect for early flower. So I compare that with my tea that's a 102, and I get another phosphorus additive plus the constituents from the guanos.
That just really works for what you're trying to do for that one specific little thing.
Yeah, it really works well with the cultured teas, and that's why I really. So before, a lot of people may not have seen a use for it specifically by itself or specifically in the regimen, but for my tea purposes,
works really well.
I find a great purpose for it.
Okay. I remember we talked about this a while back, and you had Persephone you were talking about with this. Do you still do the Persephone? What's the deal with that?
No, I absolutely still do the Persephones. I've actually dialed it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So I found out with Persephones, less is more.
Okay.
And so I don't use it in veg anymore, and I also dial it back quite a bit inside early flower. So I really only go really hard with it about mid flower, early, little bit mid flower, like 5 mils a gallon on early flower, and about 10 to 15 mils a gallon mid flower, and I usually cut it out after mid flower.
Is it a flavor kind of thing you're getting from it, or?
Yeah, I noticed that we want to kind of dial it back at the end. We don't want to go towards the end just because it has that sulfur molecule. The sulfur molecule is really good at promoting the terpenes, but overuse of it can cause not the most desired traits.
Like those dark beers that you can stand a spoon up in, and you're like, you went too far. It's too much.
Yeah, too much.
I got you.
So I still recommend Persephone. So you can still look on the Cultured Biologix Nectar tea charts and still see Persephones on there.
Okay.
I just find the most important ones.
This is your growth and your working well kind of thing.
That's the core of it.
That's maybe a spice.
Yeah, it spices up a little bit in flower. I still use it in my flowering, but I find these are the core products I want to use with my Nectar teas.
Very cool. Well, thanks.
And then, mind you, if you're using the Greek regiment, the Roman regiment, this works perfect for you. If you
use your regiment regular on your days you feed, but on these days you use just this.
Exactly. This is your tea day. So just understand that this is your tea day, and you're going to go feed, and this is your teas.
Okay.
And you're going to feed, flush, and then feed, this is your teas.
Okay. And you wouldn't change your flush up any?
Nope, just continue with the herc as you would. But this is, we're using a lot of the herc. We're using a lot of these core products inside the nectar. So we want to get all the auxiliary products into the teas. A lot of people complain, it has 15 products in this product line. I don't need all 15 bottles. It's like, you don't need them all at once. But there is a purpose for each of them.
Okay.
So it's about using them in their proper regards.
Very cool. Very interesting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so that was fun. Sure is nice of Tim doing all these videos. We got just a couple more. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the veg tea and the nectar you use with that. And then the day after that, on Friday, we're going to be talking about the bloom tea and using that one. And then I think that'll be pretty much for those Cultured Biologix episodes. We'll still be talking about it. But the things we're going to be talking with Tim going forward are going to be more about using specifically advanced nectar growing stuff. He's going to be doing that for us. That's going to be exciting. So thanks for watching the show. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. For more information about anything on today's show, go to our website, OCGFAM221. And if you buy anything while you're there, use the code OCGFAM2018. It's going to save you 20%, and you're going to have a lot of fun. The OCG Fam Show, it's pretty good. It happens every day. It's the OCG Fam Show. See you tomorrow.